So, Tracy, is this the end of the Warriors dynasty? Is this the way they go out?
I hate to say it, but these are the final days of this dynasty. I think this is it. Reason being, there's a lot of uncertainty with this team. We don't know what KD is going to do if he opts in or if he opts out. Regardless, he was a big part of this dynasty the last 2-3 years. He's a reason why, they have this dynasty. He's not going to be there next year. And if he opts in, the only thing they're going to have is a mid-level exception, or if he leaves, they'll have a mid-level exception. I just don't know if they can really improve their team to be the elite team that they have been the past 5 years, because Kevin Durant is not going to be there. And I think that's just going to be a problem. And Danny, we don't know if Klay is going to take that max or whatever they offer him to stay here.
I don't think it's in the dynasty, because they are still, if Klay re-signs, which we all expect him to. I mean, I can't say anything's a guarantee, but if he re-signs, they're still going to have 2 Hall of Famers in their prime. I don't think that we're going to see them whip through the West playoffs. I think they're going to have to work. I also don't necessarily think this series is over. I wouldn't, like you, I wouldn't predict that the Warriors would win. Now that they have the clarity that Kevin is not going to be back, I just will recall them, the way that they played, the spirit what they played with in the Houston series. I thought they were in serious, serious trouble. They ended up being just fine. Now, I'm going to make it very clear here. The Warriors are not the Rockets.
Right.
I'm sorry, the Rockets are not the Raptors. The Raptors are a great team, and they may not be able to do it. But I'm going to give them credit for still having 3 All-Stars in my mind, because I think Draymond Green maybe didn't make it this year, but is still an All-Star player when he's at his best, and 2 Hall of Famers for sure. I think they're going to still be a great team going forward.
Your point about clarity, I think, is important, because Steph Curry said to me after the last game, he saw Maverick Carter, who is, of course, LeBron's business partner, at the game for Game 5. And he said, I told Mav, I know what his guy was feeling like, because in several of the finals that Steph played against LeBron and the Cavs, Kyrie got hurt. Kyrie was back. Kyrie got hurt again. Didn't know where Kevin Love left for a concussion, got back in, didn't know who was playing when. So he said, oh, I'm on the other side of the coin of that now, and we don't know who's going to be in the game at any given game. And I think now that they know KD is out, it seems like Kevon Looney is just going to be done for the series too, although I don't know.
Say that.
Okay.
They have not ruled Looney out. It's a pain tolerance thing with him. He could play. I don't know if he'll be able to play much.
Let me ask you this. You say you don't think the dynasty is over. What put them over the top the last 2 years?
Durant.
Exactly. He's not going to be with them.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You think this team beats LeBron James the last 2 years without a Kevin Durant? Absolutely.
Last year, maybe 2 years ago, no. No. But I also recognize that, I mean, we could argue about the word dynasty. I still think they're very, very formidable. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to feel sorry for a team that has 2 Hall of Famers in their prime. I'm just not going to do it.
No, of course not. And look, they did, to your point, they beat Houston this year without Kevin Durant. They beat, at least in that final important game, and they beat Portland in a sweep without Kevin Durant. We see the way the Lakers dynasty ended, this way the Bulls dynasty ended. The only way both of those dynasties ended was from within. You could kind of argue if Kevin leaves, that's what's happening. Although now that he's injured, to your point, unless this injury turns out to be hugely different than what we've all thought, now that 2 days have gone by without any claims to the counter, I think we can all just kind of assume it's what we all think it is. Assuming that's it, they're not going to have Kevin one way or the other. He could opt in, and they wouldn't have Kevin next year.
No.
So there you go. All right, I want to look at the team that is looking to dethrone the Warriors. The Raptors are coming off what is maybe a disheartening loss, Game 5, but they return to Oracle. The irony here is they're going back to the opponent's arena, and they're like, yes, finally, the place where we were 2-0 in these finals. Should the Raptors, Tracy, feel encouraged or discouraged heading into tomorrow night?
There's no need to feel discouraged. I mean, they have basically dominated this series. They are 3-0 at Oracle, won by 10-plus points all 3 games. I mean, I just think without Kevin Durant, Steph and Klay have to do so much. They have to score 65-plus points between the 2 of them to be competitive in this series. The Raptors are getting help from everybody. Kawhi doesn't necessarily have to play well because he's getting help from everybody on this team. I just think, with them being so dominant here in Oracle, they should feel confident that they can win this Game 6.
Yeah, and both games that the Warriors have won in this series have come right down to the very end. We saw the Iguodala 3 and then the tremendous Klay 3 and the Draymond block. They could very easily have lost all 5 games. The biggest question mark to me, guys, tomorrow will be the Warriors' spirit. They were so devastated by the events of the other night. I mean, you've talked about being in the locker room. I was around there. I saw how devastated they were. It's the last game at Oracle. They're going to go in knowing that. It's still an elimination game. Maybe the crowd will lift them up. To me, the X's and O's we could talk about, they have some challenges, Rachel, because they can't put out a good offensive and a good defense team at the same time right now. It's a real issue. But to me, the biggest X factor is whether they've got that spirit, which is so important to them.
I'm sure they have the spirit. And I talked about this yesterday. I think what's encouraging for Golden State, they really haven't been healthy between Steph and Klay in these home games. You got to remember, Game 3, Klay was hurt, and Steph had to pour out so much energy going into Game 4. He was worn out, and Klay was healthy and looked pretty damn good. So we'll see how both of those guys are in Game 6 to see if they can fight.
That's a really good point, because they do have that big rest block between Games 5 and tomorrow's Game 6. Now, I will say, though, for the Raptors on their side, they do. I mean, obviously, they want to close it out tomorrow night because they want to close it out and win a title, and you don't want to give the Warriors life and air. But beyond all of that, Kawhi Leonard is also nursing an injury. And there were people who kind of came up and say, oh, why didn't he really turn it on until the end of the game in the third quarter, fourth quarter of that? Because he is pacing himself, so he does not get re-injured. And that could, I mean, obviously anyone could get injured at any time, as we've seen during this finals, but they want to get him to the end of the finals. So that end, they would like to come sooner rather than later.
Well, you got to go back to game 5. You know, despite Golden State making 5 threes in that first quarter, the game was relatively close. And Kawhi was just pacing himself. You got to pick and choose when you really want to turn it on. And I think he's figured that out.